evening. Tonight on The Discussion, we take a look at America's outlook from the latest trends and upcoming job opportunities, growing professions, and the very latest on all of this from our very own Caroline Chapman, the career specialist at Stonington High School, and my co-host. I'm Kyle Curtis. Caroline, good evening to you.
Good evening.
All right, so walk me through, you're the career specialist at our high school, so you're in charge of basically planning our students' future for the next 10, 20 years on through college and into their working life. So walk me through what you think is the most predictable route for colleges. We were talking prior to the broadcast that technical schools are coming up. Walk me through what is a very chronic procedure, what you see happens quite frequently for students into the application process for colleges.
When students are applying for colleges, probably the first thing that we want to do, and I really assist the guidance department, is we want to find out what kind of atmosphere is perfect for the student. That's number one. If they're not in a comfortable atmosphere, any of the learning isn't going to go well. It's really important that they're in an atmosphere that is very comfortable for them. And at the same time, looking for atmosphere, we're looking for things that they're passionate about. Because again, they may know that a career in healthcare is where they're going to have the best opportunity for success financially and to take care of a family and to make all their dreams come true. But if they're not passionate about what they're doing, it doesn't matter what they're majoring in, and that they're doing something that's got a high rating. They want to do something that they're very good at. So if you have somebody who's interested in education, then they really need to focus on a school that's going to give them that great opportunity for those internships, give them the great mentors and the network that they're looking for, no matter what career they want to go after. Passion is number one. So the first thing that we do is we do a career profile with the students, see what they're interested in, and then we try and match it up with a school that best matches what kind of learner they are, what kind of interests they have.
Now, we're going to touch on this a little bit later on in the show about competition, cost, application, standardized testing, which is a big one in our high schools that have changed with the Common Core, and deadlines. A big thing, and technology has obviously influenced this, but how has the standard application process evolved for a student with technology? I don't necessarily know how it used to be, but with technology, things are obviously a lot more immediate, if you will, I guess.
We're definitely connected more. More and more schools every year are becoming active with the common application. It used to be that each school had its own application, its own process. You dealt strictly with those schools, and every application was a little different. Now we have so many schools that are a part of the Common App, as it's called,
right,
where students go to a central website and they sign up and they put down all the schools that they're interested in, and that program actually helps them with the application process. Now, schools certainly each will have their own little addendums, things that they want to do, essays and that kind of thing, but they handle that as well. There are still several schools that are not part of the Common App, but many of them are. And so it's become, I think, a lot more streamlined. Yes, it does have its glitches, and it does change every year. I know that Common App is trying to streamline the process, and I think they're being very successful. And I think it helps kids along the way. This is a very daunting process. It's very stressful.
Is it for the better, the change to technology and online applications? Is it for the better?
I think so. A lot of schools still, of course, will do interviews,
right,
which we can do. They will go to the schools, or the representatives will come to the students' high school and meet with them. So there's still a lot of personal touch, such with essays as well, but I think the technology is definitely helping.
We have a lot of colleges come to our school. My home base at our high school is in Ms. Chapman's career center. We have a lot of colleges come down and visit the school. Now, what are the recruiters, I guess, looking for when they come down and meet with students? What are they looking for in that student?
Well, each school is really looking for that student that is going to fulfill whatever kind of environment they're trying to create. And sometimes we see schools trying to change that over. I'm sure you've seen some schools that have come that have a reputation for maybe being very technical, but these schools are trying to cast a wider net. So maybe they're now starting to look for that student who is maybe a little more social or athletic, because they've just brought in maybe some social clubs or some intramurals. A lot of times some of the technical schools didn't have that. It was go to school, this is what we focus on, and we're not focusing on some of the other things, environment, to become a little more well-rounded. We're seeing that.
Now, where do we stand for a percentage for students that go on to college from high school? Do we have like a rough figure, percentage?
I'm going to say it's high. I don't have an exact number on me right now, but I'm going to say that it's high. I know, at least with our school, it's probably in the 80% that go, and that includes community colleges as well, and some online programs. Kids are leaving high school and taking college courses. If it's full-time or part-time, I don't have that broken down, but they are going to schools. And I would include in those numbers the technical schools or the certificate programs, because it's post-secondary education.
Right. Now, educator and business consultant Stedman Graham lays out a step-by-step process to reach your goals in his latest book called Identity, Your Passport to Success. Now, you made an interesting statement about the way we process information, saying students could retain information, be tested on that subject, pass the test, 2 weeks later, be asked to recall what they had learned and not be able to retrieve that information, contending that roughly 6.5 billion people don't know who they are, with no way of processing the life that is happening around them. So does technology influence the way that we learn, and has the way that we learn in school possibly be ineffective in some ways? And I can bounce some ideas off of this from how we learn in the classroom. I'm more of a hands-on person. And we talked about technical schools and how they're coming up. So is it more for the grades, or is it more for, I guess, the activities that students do? And you talked about how they're social. So I guess what I'm saying is it more for the type of person that they are outside of school, for when schools come down and meet with students?
I think when college representatives come, the first thing students need to realize is that this is most likely the person that's going to be looking at your application.
Right.
A lot of times students thought that this person was coming, they were going to be like a salesperson. Like they're really just kind of selling the school. They don't realize that this person is actually making a judgment on them. So I'm always encouraging kids when they come in, before they come in for these meetings, I tell them, I want you to stand up, shake their hand, make eye contact, introduce yourself, have them sit down, be an active listener, take notes, ask questions, because this is part of your application, what is happening. And when you talk about technology, I absolutely understand. I am fascinated by this book, and I want to learn more about it. Something that we're talking about all the time when I'm preparing kids for job interviews or application interviews is that we are forgetting how to communicate. It's great that we can communicate so quickly, but we are actually forgetting how to communicate face-to-face. We're wonderful with texting, with emails. It's great. Social media, it's wonderful, but we're losing some of those skills. And that is something that's being judged while you're sitting there speaking with these representatives. And this, I absolutely believe that we are teaching ourselves, all of us, I'm guilty of it too, where I can take in information, spit it back to you quickly, but then if I need to recall it later on, I've only learned it for the short term, not for the long term. And I think that technology has kind of taken away our desire to learn things, I guess, at a deeper level.
So it helps for college applications, but it does reflect in an interview, and it can reflect, and it can also reflect off of social media, like our Facebook pages and Twitter pages and things like that. Colleges do look at that.
They do, and students really have a hard time believing that, but I can tell you I have seen kids lose opportunities in schools because of what has been posted on social media. So, I mean, they've really got to be very mindful of how technology is so helpful, but at the same time, it can be your undoing.
Right. Be sure to get Tom Santos on that book. It's called Identity, so you can get that wherever you like to buy your books. We'll be back right after these messages.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back. Continuing our discussion on education and career planning. Alongside me now, my co-host and career specialist at Stonington High School, Caroline Chapman. Now, Caroline, we've been talking about recent trends, education reform, but we haven't touched on fields that are evolving and where the opportunities will be for students in the next 5 to 10 years. So where do we see opportunity?
Oh my gosh. Opportunities, we're so lucky now. The past couple of years was a little rough, but the economy is getting better. So we're seeing things, as always, in healthcare. Really, you can't go wrong picking some kind of career in healthcare, and that includes fields, technology. One of the biggest things is they're consolidating all of the records onto a huge database. It's health informatics. That is a very, very big deal. So sometimes folks think, oh no, I'm afraid of going into healthcare because I don't want to be involved in patient care and that kind of thing. And you really don't have to. You can be very, very interested in technology and still be in the healthcare field. Business, huge as always. It's really making a resurgence. Things such as international business degrees, very, very helpful now. And again, because of technology, and as we were talking about, the world's just so connected now, international business is going to be very big. Accounting, huge. In the construction world, mechanical, manufacturing, absolutely huge numbers. And when we're talking about this, we're looking at growth up until 2024 of at least 36%. I mean, it's huge. Even in the world of social work, things such as sign language, becoming a social worker, our population is expanding. We need people to take care of all of our technology needs. We need people to take care of our patients. We need people to take care of all the data that we're all creating.
Right, and that's not the way that it was years and years past. And all of those require some sort of a degree from some type of college. Now, I'm a student pilot, and a college degree is not necessarily required. All the certifications and thousands of hours as pilot in command are important within itself, and it's worth its weight in gold. So now if we see aviation is coming up in the next 4 or 5 years, airline captains will be stepping down. Legally, they'll be forced to step down because of their age cutoff. So all the first officers will step up, the co-pilots, and then they're going to have no first officers for a required 2-man crew. So we're going to have thousands of positions that are going to be open for pilots to step in that have the 2,500 hours, whatever it is, for the commercial standard and being an air transport pilot. So for someone like me, if I'm going to progress in the next 3, 4, 5 years into aviation, and the old saying goes, it's not what you know, it's who you know. If I can get my foot in the door at some sort of an airline, charter service, or even into larger ranks, flying a larger corporate aircraft, or even like a 737, is that recommended? If I can make the money and run with the business, is that recommended? And do you think that would be a good plan over the next 10, 20, 30 years? College will always be there, but again, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I would say follow your passion. And again, something that I've said to many students when they come into my room and they're just not sure what they're going to do, I'm like, listen, college doesn't guarantee success. Loving what you do and following the steps that you need to take in order to make that happen, that's going to be more successful. I know plenty of people with college degrees who are not in the field that they went to college for whatever reasons. And so if you have the opportunity, if that door is open for you to go and get those hours and get those certifications, absolutely do it. Because that window's only open for so long. Like you said, pilots can only fly for a certain period of time. And college is always there. And college is so easy to get to now. I mean, there's so many online courses and everything. I would absolutely say that's the way to go. We have a lot of students who are interested in the military. Some kids aren't even ready to go to school yet, so it's time to go into the working world. And you never know who you're going to meet along the way, who become those mentors. Like you said, it's not what you know, it is who you know and what they know about you. That's really huge. So whatever you decide to do after high school, if it's work, if it's college, if it's the military, or a technical program or a certification program, make sure that you just put your best foot forward, show them the passion that you have for whatever it is that you're doing and that you want to learn, and those are the people that are going to guide you. So college right after high school, yes, is the norm, but it's not necessarily for everybody or every career path.
Right, and it's not just aviation. There's a lot of other fields that may not necessarily require a college degree, but some sort of qualification within that field that could be a very marketable skill. And the opportunity, let's say if I were to work my way into a small airline or something like that, the opportunity may not be there in 4 or 5 years, and financially it may make more sense to start working, make money, and worry about a degree later on down the road, something like an associate's degree or something along those lines. So talk to me about upcoming schools, what you've seen. Where are students leaning towards? You know, we keep touching on these technical schools. Where are students leaning towards?
You know, really most students are leaning towards the more typical school, the school that offers many, many things. Honestly, most kids really don't know what they want to do. They have an idea what they would like to do, but they want to attend a school that's got multiple things to offer. The kids call gen eds, things like you have to take a history class, a psychology class, sociology class, English. It kind of spreads things out a little bit and lets them see where their strengths and passion. I know I say that a lot, but that is huge. So kids are really leaning towards that. But another great thing that I'm seeing is these technical schools have really reinvented themselves. We used to think that the technical schools were really for the kids who maybe went to the technical high school or the kids who didn't feel like they belonged in college. And what the technical schools have done is they've really turned it into more of a college atmosphere where, like we had spoken about, where they're maybe a little more social. They've got you know, clubs and activities that they're doing. It's not just show up, go to class, go back. It's really a community feel, and they are offering so many things, and they're putting so much money into it. I absolutely love when they come because I will gather as many students as I can, and I think students are absolutely blown away by how many things are offered and how different an education it is. But they're also getting those things that they were hoping they would get on a college campus, even though they didn't want that particular career path at the typical college.
Right. Now talk to me about the SATs. We've seen a large change over the past year in the SAT, taking it from something, taking it away from being more of a game, I guess. And some schools aren't even requiring the SATs in the next 5 years or so.
Exactly. The SATs have changed quite a bit, and it's still a really valuable test, but schools are seeing that what's more valuable, and I've talked to schools and asked them, you know, what are you thinking about this? They really would rather see a student's grades over their 3 and 4 years. Very often they're looking at students as juniors in high school. So they would rather see what a student has done overall as opposed to one test on one day. So a lot of schools really are pulling away from the SAT. They're looking at the interview. They're looking at the essay. They're looking at a student's consistency in being involved in extracurricular activities. Those are the things that they're really leaning on. And just the visits coming into my room, they're weighing heavier on that.
Now, we touched on the application process a little bit earlier in the program. So how has competition, cost, applications, standardized testing, and deadlines. How have these factors influenced change amongst college applicants and maybe even their chance of getting into the school?
Deadlines are a real big deal. You've seen, sitting in my room, seniors coming in absolutely stressed beyond belief about the deadlines that are coming up. October 1st was kind of a funny time because so many applications were due November 1st, and they realized they had 1 month, and they just absolutely went into panic mode. I think that it's nice to have those early deadlines because usually the kids find out a little earlier. They're not waiting. Some students will be waiting in March and April still to find out what school they're going to. If usually there's a earlier date, maybe they'll know a lot sooner, which is kind of nice. And as far as the application process, really they want to begin that as soon as possible. We had several students who started right away in September, and that's really pretty smart. It just makes your life so much easier. It's such a huge process. It's nice to begin earlier and not be doing it later.
Right, and the PSAT is a big help as well. So when do you suggest a student to start looking at schools seriously? You can look at a school on a vacation, but seriously looking at schools, when do you suggest a high school student to start looking?
I think we've been suggesting students go out their junior year. It's really great. Go out in the fall of your junior year, go to those open houses, get on websites for the schools that you think you're interested in, or as you said, when you are vacationing, go and check out those schools. Really go. You don't feel such a push that I have to pick something, I have to make a decision. You can go in there and really see, is this environment a place that I would love to spend some time? College is a place where you go and you're taking chances. You're trying to read into the future to see what's the right thing for you. And the less stress that you make visiting that campus and seeing it in full swing, the better take you're going to have on, is this a good fit for you or not? So junior year is a great year to start.
Now, what can parents do to help students, stressed out high school students, in the application process and looking at schools and through SATs and things like that? How can parents help the students?
I think the first thing they need to do, especially for that first time around, is to try and stay as calm as possible. It is very, very scary. First of all, I think parents, it's not just that your child is leaving the home, but this is a very expensive section of life. Right. And I think that parents get very, very panicked because now, great, maybe my child has gotten into school, but now how are we going to pay for it? So I think if you can stay as calm as possible while you're going through it and try and meet with your child, take notes, talk about things that you're all kind of concerned about, and try and get everything down and try and document the concerns that you have. So that way you can kind of go back on it and revisit it as you go and see how you're doing, what kind of progress are you making. Keep in mind that your student is probably 17 years old and thinking, I have to figure out what I'm going to do the rest of my life in the next couple of months. So keep in mind, be really mindful that both the parents and the student, everybody's got their own set of stresses. Some are the same, but there are so many different things that each are worried about. And I think remember to use the guidance department that you have at your school. That's what they're there for. They're not just there for the students. They're there to help the parents get through this process as well. They have workshops, and certainly that you can set up meetings and go in and speak with them.
Now, some information off of CNN.com. I was doing a little research prior to the broadcast, and in a yes or no question, this is kind of tough, and we did touch on this before. I'm going to read you two quotes off of CNN.com. Sylvia from Los Angeles, California, she stated, now this is on the debate of whether or not the value of a college degree is increased or decreased. And your opinion, yes or no, but I'll read you these two quotes. Sylvia states, when our young people are coming out of college with a bachelor's degree and debt to the tune of $100,000 plus, yes, the value of a college education has changed. That said, I would advise today's high school graduate who does not know what they want to study to go to a community college to find themselves afterwards. It will be less expensive and less stressful. While Leslie states, my college degree changed my life. I went from being a security guard making $20,000 per year, barely being able to pay my bills without health insurance, to getting a government job making $34,000 per year. Now I can manage my bills and have health coverage with a foreseeable future. Yes or no? Has the value of a degree, in your opinion, has it gone up or down?
I think it depends where you go. I really do. I've had multiple discussions over the years of the school, people saying that where you go to school is going to create the value of that degree. And to a point, that's correct. But really, it's who you are and what you're going to do with that degree. That's what matters. You can go to a community college and get an associate's degree and go get yourself a great job and absolutely be successful financially and get all of the things that you need, the insurance and everything. But if you go to a very expensive school, you don't necessarily guarantee that you're going to end up with that very expensive lifestyle that you're hoping to get by going to that expensive school. And in that case, I would think that maybe the degree it's not comparable to the cost that you spent to go get it. You're not necessarily going to see that return for many years.
It's not what you know, it's who you know, and keep calm and carry on. Caroline, thank you so much, and thank you for being here with us. You can always get the latest and reach us on Facebook.com/Nightly News Channel 12. To give us a topic you'd like to see discussed on air, we of course hope to see you right back here next week.